Hello, I'm Joe Dillette. I'm making a carving of a raccoon, and I have a clay model that I'm making so I can get the proportions right. So this clay model is half size, and one of the things that we're going to look at is the term getting the carving out of the block. So in other words, you're looking at the carving and you can't see where the original block was. Unlike a carving like this that I did, you can see easily where the block was, where the limits of the block. You see the planes that are lined up. They're lined up on the shoulders, and so this is very stiff. The backbone is straight coming down, and so very stiff carving. That's the way most carvings are. Here's another one with it's all straight. The backbone is straight. So on this one, what I'm doing is the customer wanted this hanging from a mantle that I did, and I thought about that, and I tried to do a clay, and it looked like it was too tense. So I wanted to make it look more relaxed. So this is going to hang off the mantle a little bit, and he's relaxing on the top of the mantle. So the planes that I'm doing is the backbone is curved. So in other words, coming from the nose all the way up the head, down the neck, down the body. Everything is a curve, and it comes right down, follows that curve of the tail right on down. And none of the planes line up. You see the 90 degrees with that where it crosses where the ears are and the backbone, that's 90 degrees. Where this plane is across the shoulders, that is 90 degrees there, and that does not line up with the ears, and the hips are like this. So the hips are like this, the shoulders are like this, and the head is like that. So none of those planes line up. And this scale model of this clay is half size. So this covers everything except for the legs and that part of the tail that's going down, and that's going to be another piece of wood. I'm going to paint this, so the grain on this is going to be going in this direction within this block, and then the grain here is going to be pointing down in this block. And because I'm painting it, the change in grain is not going to affect it any. And I will dowel these two so it's a good strong joint. I enlarged the top view, so that's the first that I will saw out. So what I did is I took the top view of this here and just took the limits of that clay and created the drawing. So I marked the backbone so you can see the curving of the backbone. Now here is a pivot point, and the skull does not curve. So the skull pivots here at the base of the skull. That's where the neck ends, right in here, and then that is straight. So this line where the eyes are going to be and where the ears are running parallel. And notice that they are at 90 degrees with the center line. So this is 90 degrees and that's 90 degrees. Then 90 degrees here across the shoulders, and then 90 degrees here across the hips. So the reason why this is back is that's his back leg is heading back, and where here this leg is coming forward. So it's kind of tucked in under the body here. That's the roundness for the tail. So the tail is going down, and the tail is going to head off on an angle going down. So I've cut it out from the top down, and I stayed away from the lines pretty good, especially the areas I wasn't too sure about. It's good to have your reference photos handy when you start. So I've got several reference photos of different raccoons, the faces, and all of that. So I'm just going to start roughing it out now, working it and trying to visualize the image as I work down. Well, I decided to take off the back with the chisel, but there's a couple reasons why I changed my mind and I decided to do the bandsaw for the rough out. One of the main reasons I did that is to save the drawing, so I can redraw the head here. So I'm going back, putting my center line in the base of the neck right there, and one of the things that a bandsaw works against you is when you're trying not to have any two planes line up. The bandsaw automatically lines them up. So now all these points here, so this is a 90-degree angle here that I have to come through like this. And then down by the nose here, where the eyes are going to be, that's a 90-degree. So you see how it skews things and it lines everything up. So it's a little bit harder to visualize it this way because the lines are going against you. But I'm going to just take the chisel and I'm just going to start rounding it off and following my drawn lines. So we're at the point now we're going to try to make it look more like a raccoon. So I've gone to my reference photos and picked this picture here. So the face is wider than it is tall. So I'm going to bring it down, take a little bit of stock off the top. I need to start removing some of the stock here. The ears will be coming down a little bit more. So I'm turning the ears a little bit to the back and then making this whisker. This thing goes way back to almost where the ear is, so I'm going to bring that around. Just cutting down the size of the ears. In creating the hair on a raccoon is nice and soft. It's kind of fluffy but soft. So first what I do is I go with the hard texture and then I refine it. I smooth it out on the top. And how I smooth it out is I rock a chisel over the top. So this is the coarse texture that I'm putting in now. And then to refine that, I take a gouge. The gouge has got a slight curve. This is a number 5. So in refining the hair, making it look softer, what I do is I rock the chisel. So you can rock the chisel and move it forward. You can see that you're taking off a little bit of wood. And so I'm just doing it on the smooth portion to show you the effect as it's coming down. And so I do that over the top of the coarse texture, and that will refine it. It makes other little lines and it gives it a softer look. So the rocking of the chisel is really refining the hair, the broad cuts that I did with the V-tool. Now just rocking this, and notice how it's making the lines going this way when I hold the chisel in this direction. I want to keep the fluffy look to it, but I'm softening it up so I want it to look like soft hair that is fluffy. Now in some of these cases, like here, the going across the grain, rocking the chisel, the V-tool, that's kind of lost its way. So you can go back in and recut some of those lines just to keep showing the direction of the hair. On the leg and the tail that I attached, I used 2 dowel rods that went through in each piece. And then because we're going to paint it, I did the blending here with Bondo. It's the auto putty that they repair dents and that with cars. And that carves very nice, and I'm blending in the texturing now of the hair going right through the joint. For the painting, I'm putting a clear coat of polyurethane varnish on it, and then over right into the wet varnish I work oil, artist oil colors. So I'm going to take a little bit of burnt umber and black, and I just daub it in. The claws are going to be black, so I'm going to paint them. And I just put on about enough where I think it's going to blend into about the right color. Then I take more varnish on the brush and I just kind of brush it in. I'm trying to get that hair look on it and kind of build a shadow under here, so I want more black under right into that crease between the leg and the belly there. Artist oils dry pretty quickly when you're mixing them with varnish. Normally they would take about a week to dry, but mixed with polyurethane varnish they will be pretty well dry tomorrow, so I can put on another coat or some highlights if I need to tomorrow. So now I'm going to work in a little bit of white over the top of that. I just put in some white streaks and then I'll blend it. That's just a little bit too white, so now I'm going to go back with a little bit more burnt umber.